What's going on, investors? In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a recording of a webinar that I hosted a few days ago with Burton Alicando from PropStream. PropStream is this amazing tool that almost all real estate investors should get. It basically allows you to search up your perfect buying criteria and find the homes that work for you as investments. So from there, you can populate this huge list and you can start sending out direct mail campaigns to them. You can also take that list and skip trace it to find their phone numbers and email addresses so that you can have more ways to reach out to the sellers and hopefully have them communicate back with you. In today's video, Burton is going to show you guys how to use PropStream and the best practices to use to maximize your efficiency with the tool. There's also going to be a Q&A session at the very end, so be sure to watch this whole video if you want to learn everything you could possibly learn about PropStream. Now, I also highly encourage you guys to use the link down below to get a 7-day free trial of PropStream so that you can play around with the tool as you're watching this video. That way you can get to experience using the tool, and because of the 7-day free trial, if you don't like it, then you can always cancel it before that time runs out. But if you decide you like the tool and you want to continue with your subscription, you do get a $2 per month discount by using my link down below. So that's my special gift to you guys. Now, if you guys are interested in joining a meetup group that meets virtually where you can actually ask questions live in the session, then I highly encourage you guys to join my meetup group. You can also find the link down in the description below. The group is called the Everything Real Estate Investing Networking Group, and you can find it at meetup.com/everythingrei. We meet up about twice a month on Tuesdays around 5 p.m. PST. And of course, after using an amazing tool like PropStream and finding great off-market deals, if you guys start needing hard money loans for your fix and flip projects, then feel free to reach out to me. My contact information can also be found down in the description as well. So I hope you guys all enjoyed this presentation. I know that I found it incredibly useful. And if you guys have any questions about the tool or how it works, then just leave a comment down below and I'll get back to you. Well, I hope you guys all enjoyed the video. If you do, then please consider subscribing to the channel to see more great real estate investing content just like this one. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you guys all enjoyed the presentation. See you guys later. So Burton works for PropStream. And for those of you who don't know, PropStream is this amazing tool that many real estate investors use to filter their lists so that they're not marketing to everybody, right? They're only marketing to people who have like the highest chance of accepting an off-market offer. So again, I put down this PropStream link for you guys to get a free trial. I think it's in your guys' benefit to just go on there, sign up for the free trial now so that you can follow along with what Burton's going to show you. So that you can ask all the relevant questions right here on this webinar. With that being said, Burton, thank you so much for being here. I'll hand the floor to you.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me. Hey, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon. Thanks for having me and thanks for investing your time with us. Let's just get straight to the point. We've been collecting data for 15 years. We do it nationwide. What we do is we buy data from a multitude of different providers, but let me actually show you the data I'm referring to. We collect residential, commercial, industrial, vacant land, agricultural, exempt properties, office spaces, transportation. So on top of the characteristics of those different classifications, we also buy data from different providers, which are the bubbles right below. So we'll buy tax successor data, deeds, mortgages, open mortgages, pre-foreclosure, on-market data, MLS historical data, so that you can see like a failed listing. You can see sold properties, so you can run comps on the MLS. Document images, parcel data. We've even created our own data, like the pre-probate data. We're the first in the nation to identify a deceased person's name still on a title of a property. And we also created a flippers list. We can show you anybody that buys a property and we'll list that property within 24 months of purchasing that property. So these are just the data sets that we buy and created over the last 15 years. What we do with the data is this right here. We solve two problems that you're going to encounter, whether you're a banker or realtor or investor, you do creative seller finance, whatever part of the real estate industry you're in, here are the two problems you need to solve. Lead generation and vetting that property or analyzing that property. I don't care what you're doing. You're going to need to do two things. These are the two fundamentals of our industry, right? Generating these off or on market properties, whether you want an agent listed or non-agent listed property, and then what happens when they call you back, right? You got to run an analysis on that property. You got to run comps on that property. That's what we've been doing for the last 15 years. So let's focus on lead generation. We know there's different levels of investors. So there's 3 parts to lead generation. Part 1, everybody's going to go through, and that's build a list. Now with the trial link, you'll get 7 days to try it out, 50 free leads. But once you subscribe, you'll get 10,000 records every month for $97 a month. There's no annual subscription. It's just a monthly thing. So in terms of building a list, you're going to search anywhere in the United States. We don't region lock you. You're going to be able to filter for your own motivated seller or perhaps a buyer. Right? We have 19 categories for you to choose from. I'll go over that in just a few moments. You can even create your own lists. You can then save that list and then export the address, the owner's name, property characteristics. That's part one. Everybody's going to go through that. Part two is skip tracing. We've partnered up with the top skip tracing providers in our industry. What that means is you can get a cell phone, a landline, or an email within 5 minutes. It's an additional cost of 12 cents, but 12 cents if it gets results. If it doesn't get any results, we won't charge you the 12 cents. So I can build a list of senior owners, skip trace them, and get a landline, cell phone, and an email in 5 minutes. And then I can export that data out of PropStream and perhaps upload it to a dialer or a CRM or a different marketing platform. Where I have no idea what I'm talking about, we can do the marketing for you. That's part three. So you can build a list with us, get contact information within 5 minutes, and then directly market to that same list by creating a landing page for them. So if you build a senior owners list, get their contact information, maybe your landing page says, I help senior owners. And then after you create that landing page, you could send them a postcard, a ringless voicemail, and an email. Now, for the sake of time, I'm going to be going over part one heavily, and I'll just show you guys where part two and part three is at. I figured not everybody's going to be at this part or need all of this stuff, but everybody's going to go through part one. And then I also want to show you guys how you can use PropStream to analyze a property down below. So you just search an address. We'll show you all of our data to find opportunities. You can run comps on those properties and even print the report of that comp. So enough talk. Let's dive into it. Part one, lead generation. What do? Search a market. This is PropStream. Do you guys see the map by chance?
Yep.
You good? All right, awesome. So you can search anywhere. Here at the top is your search bar. You can search by county, a city, 1 or up to 5 zip codes. Heck, you can even use our draw search feature at the top left. Let's just go through a few examples, right? So Fulton County, Georgia. Type that in, choose which one you'd like. Here are the 358,000 records sitting on our server that you can go through. 50 per page. And as you can see down below, we're on page 1 of 7,178. Don't let us stop you. I think it'd be crazy if you were to go through all of that manually. So what I would recommend is that you consider the fact that we've taken those records and organize them into the first 8 categories. We'll show you how many of those records are on market, in pre-foreclosure, auction, foreclosure, cash buyer, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if you were to perform a city search, same thing happens, just at a city level, Chicago, 800,000 records there. Again, page 1 of 17,000, we've organized them for you in different categories. Zip code, Beverly Hills, for example, 90210, there are your 9,000 records and broken up into individual categories. Page 1 of 189. Zip code is the only one you can search up to 5. You can separate them by commas and spaces. So let's just do 3 right now. And by typing in those 3, I click on that, and here are your 40,000 collective results in those 3 zip codes. And the last feature, which I think is clever, is the draw search feature. So let me give you a live example here. Disneyland just opened up in Anaheim, California, right? Let's say I want to Airbnb a property there. First, I need to find a property. Instead of searching all of Anaheim, because what's going to happen, it's going to give me all of Anaheim, even the places away from Disneyland Park, I can use the draw search feature. Here's what I do first. I go from satellite at the bottom left to map. Just easier to look at, it's a preference. And then I use the pencil icon, and through several left clicks, I create my own shape. So I'm going to start here by Knott's Berry Farm, head east. So again, several left clicks, you get to create your own shaded area. Just hit enter on the keyboard. you get your results right then and there. So we're going to show you how many are on market, pre-foreclosure, et cetera, et cetera. What we just did right now is step one, search. Now let's talk about filtering. Filtering is just to the right of that search, whatever market you do, right? Let's say you decide to go to Dallas now. You either can go through all the results or just take my word on it and just go into the filter. Now in the filter, the first thing you're going to see is the quick list choices here. This is where you're going to see all 19 categories. I recommend you just go straight here because these 8 boxes from MLS to high equity are the first 8 in the dropdown. But then you get 11 more, right? Free and clear, bankruptcy, divorces, tax delinquency, properties that are being flipped in less than 2 years, failed listings, senior owner, vacant land, tired landlord, zombie properties, which are pre-foreclosures and vacant properties combined, and then our very own pre-probate, deceased owners still on title property. So this is our filter, our quick list choices, and to the left are the additional filters. So you can refine that. But let me expose you to what everybody's doing and a thing that nobody's doing, okay? There are 2 searches that you can perform today. And those 2 searches are the following. They're called the traditional search and the 4 golden rules search. Everybody's doing the traditional search. I don't care who you are, you're doing that right now. You're gonna pick a list. Then you're gonna make sure it's off market or on market, depending on whether you wanna deal with an agent or not deal with an agent. And then you're gonna put your equity amount, right? Because you're gonna fix and flip it, so you gotta have equity. Or you do short sales, so you want negative equity. Equity is the 3rd rule. And then 4th is your property and owner preferences. It could be residential, it could be commercial, it could be duplexes. We're gonna let you decide that. So let's take that traditional approach. You're gonna go into a market, Dallas, go into our filter, and choose a list that has some level of motivation. Maybe all the properties that are owned by senior owners, for example. So now instead of X, 100,000, 200,000 records, we're now dealing with just 95,000 records. And we can stop there by hitting close, which I still don't recommend. So in our filter on the left-hand side are the additional filters. So beginning with owner occupied, do you want the owner living in the house or do you want this to be a absentee property, a non-owner occupied property? Since we collect postal service data, do you want them actually answering the property that's occupied or do you want it vacant? Or do you don't care, answering, not answering? I want to talk to you. You have property characteristics, and this is where you can choose from any of our classifications. I want a residential property. Nope, I want commercial instead. And then we'll show you the car wash, we'll show you the service station, the parking structure, whatever it is that you need commercial wise. Office spaces, click on that. Industrial, click on that, right? The only thing you should understand is that we don't collect, some of our providers don't collect data for all of those. Like we won't have divorce data on office spaces, right? No results, but we have it for the residential space. So just understand that we have different classifications. It doesn't necessarily mean every list is for each classification. So just choose them all and just see which ones we have in your market, okay? Back to senior owners, and we'll choose residential. And by choosing residential, the property type is now residential options. If I chose commercial, then property type would be commercial options. So it's dynamic to what you're selecting. For today's presentation, let's do residential. Let's do single family, maybe multifamily, 2 to 4 units perhaps. Below the classification property types are your additional classifications, right? Characteristics, beds, bathrooms, square footage, stories, unit numbers. So that's your property characteristics. Next is your MLS status. This will let you look for something that's on market, yes, or off market. Now, if you're following the 4 golden rules, I'm picking a list, senior owners, and now I want to make sure it's off market. And this is where I can do that. On market, no, right? As for those property characteristics I added, that was just my preference. It could have been something else that you want, right? That's again why I push it as the last one, because everyone's going to be different there. but usually the priority goes lists, off market, got to have my equity, and then all my other preferences that I want. So the list is senior owners. MLS, I want off market, so no here. For equity, after pre-foreclosure and owner information and liens and bankruptcy and divorce filters is our valuation and equity area. Here, if you click on that, you'll get more filters. The most important one here of the bunch is probably going to be your estimated equity by percentile. This is where you can apply that minimum. So if I'm fixing and flipping a property, maybe I want 40% or more in equity. So lists off market, my 40% in equity, and now I can go back to the top and just start adding those property and owner preferences, right? I want this property absentee owned and no one answering their mail. I don't want to deal with tenants, right? Property characteristics, residential, single family, multifamily, we're good there. It's already off market. Would I like any pre-foreclosure records attached to my search? So here I can add or take away these records from my search. So how many of my senior owners are in a default? Nobody's in a default. What about an auction? Are any up for auction? Nope. What about in foreclosure? No. So you were good here. Thankfully, none of these senior owners are there. But this is where you can start list stacking, right? Maybe it's not a senior owner. Maybe it's a lien instead, but perhaps a lien with an auction or a default. Oh, we don't have any of those either here. Wow, this must be a very responsible neighborhood. How about high equity? I'm sure we're going to have some of them in default. Oh, wow, none of those. Oh, okay, we have 4 in. I know we're going to find something if we start stacking, but as you guys can see, you can list stack, but try not to do too much of it. In this sense, senior owners and pre-foreclosures were non-existent in this market, but it is something you can do. Whether it has results or not is a different story. But in this area are your recording dates and default amounts that you can filter for. Now, one of the final rules, again, is property and ownership info. And this is probably one of the core elements here. Here, we can say must own it for X amount of years, must be an individual versus a corporate, right? I want to talk to a person, not the CFO, not the secretary. I want to talk directly to the seller of the property. So you can differentiate between individual, corporate, trust, whatever it is that you're looking for. Last sell date, last sell price, even how many other properties they owned. Maybe you're looking for a senior owner who has 3 or more properties. Maybe they don't have any children or a plan B, so they're probably going to want to list or sell more than one property with you. You can see what taxes they pay, their location, whether they're out of state, out of county, or local. Heck, you could even go through our records and see if anybody passed away and is on title of property, or remove those records. So include, exclude, or any. You can see if any of these properties have been transferred between family members, or get away from those records, or keep them both in here. So that's your ownership info. And the last 2 sections are your lien, bankruptcy, divorce. This, just like the pre-foreclosure area, allows you to add more to your search, essentially target these existing categories, or even stay away from them. Stay away from a bankruptcy. That's the suppress area. Suppress the bankruptcy records. I don't want to deal with them. I don't want to deal with divorces, right? So this filter allows you to either add or take away these records from your search. Feel free to use our recording date filters, lien amount filters, etc. And the last, but certainly not least area, again, after the valuation and equity area, the last area is the mortgage info area. So we collect mortgage data. So consider this story: senior owner, non-owner occupied, property's vacant, it's not cash flowing right now, and they have 1 open mortgage they're paying on every month. That's taking away instead of putting in their bank, right? Let's talk. Maybe I can take care of that mortgage for you. This is all because of that. We collected the data and we connected the data. These guys weren't even talking to each other before we collected the data. We brought them together so that you can generate that, right? That senior owner that's off market, right? Senior owner off market with 40% in equity. It's either single family or multifamily, 2 to 4 units, owned by an individual with 3 properties and a mortgage. And that's how I got my 13 properties. So you can get hyper focused if you want. Or you can take a step back and say, you know what, maybe anybody with or without a mortgage is fine, and stick with the 69 that we started off with. Whatever it is, you're going to eventually check off your results, the ones that you want. So maybe it's every odd number, maybe every even number, maybe the first 10, or all of them. Once you have your filtered results, here on the far right side is add to list. This will now let you establish a marketing list. You can add it to any list that you already have, or for most of us, we're probably going to have to create a new one. So we'll call this the Dallas Senior Owner List, and then hit save. So what we did in terms of the build a list outline is searched and filtered. But the way that I filtered was the traditional method. And that was, we picked the list first, off-market equity, property and owner characteristics. What I'm about to show you next is what nobody's doing, and this is what's going to give you an upper hand in your neighborhood. If you're already doing it, good job. If you're not, include this to your arsenal. It's called the 4 golden rule search. And what this is it's not going after a list, it's going after a situation instead. You have to understand that people will sell their house even without being in a list, right? Like if the counties were to stop giving everybody a list all of a sudden, does that mean people don't want to sell their house all of a sudden? No, there's still going to be people wanting to sell for all sorts of situations. And some of these situations aren't on any of those lists I showed you. So here's how the 4 golden rules work. 1, make sure it's off market. 2, add that equity. 3, the property and owner preferences. Why does that sound the same? Because it's rules 2, 3, and 4. We're just not choosing a list. Okay, so let's do that in Dallas. Go to Dallas, go to filter. Again, the last search, we chose a list. I'm not going to do that right now. What I'm going to do is just make sure it's all off market first. MLS, on market, no. And then go to the value and equity. That's my second rule, is put that equity amount. So same thing, 40%. Third rule is my property and owner characteristics. So same thing. I want maybe this time someone that's in the house, they're answering their mail in case I knock on the door, and I want residential, single family. Maybe built before 2000, right? Because I want to fix and flip the property perhaps. So it has to have some age in it. So built before 2000 for year built. As for owner preferences, let's do 10 years individual. I don't care if they own more than one property, doesn't matter. So just 10 years individual, that's good enough. You'll probably tired of the property all of a sudden, right? 20-year-old property, 10 years, yeah, you're probably fed up with it. Okay, so my 3 rules. Off market, equity, single family, built before 2000, 10 years individual. Now is the situation. And this is where I think most of our industry is still kind of stuck in the traditional area, because they're always like, hey, what list do you have? What list do you have? And I say, hey, we have a lot of data, right? You can create a situation. Rather than creating or choosing a list, what I'm going to do is just go into the filter and create a scenario. And here's one I can give you guys. Please make sure you write this down. I see there's this lady I work with in North Carolina, and she makes a killing off of this exact search that I'm about to show you. 3 bedrooms, max 1 bathroom, 1,100 minimum square footage. You know why? Because the scenario here is they're sharing 1 bathroom for the last 10 years, right? Who would buy a 3-bedroom property? Not a bachelor, but a family. Mom and dad in 1 room, brother, 1 room, sister in the other room. Why 1 bathroom? You bought the 1 bathroom because your kids were small at the time, or that's what you were able to financially afford 10 years ago. But 10 years have gone by, right? Because 10 years of ownership or more, 10 years or more have gone by. Your kids are not kids anymore. They're teenagers hogging up the bathroom, doing TikTok in the bathroom, right? You're probably wanting that 2nd bathroom now. So while everybody's going after a list, I'm just going after the people with 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom and seeing if they need to upgrade. That's a homeowner situation. That's what people are forgetting about. They're waiting for somebody to show up on a list. These people are answering their mail. They're living in the house. They're paying their mortgages, so you're never going to see them in a pre-foreclosure, right? They haven't done any repairs and haven't missed the payment, so they're not going to be on a mechanical lien or an HOA lien. Think of situations, and here's one I definitely take advantage of. If you're an agent, she was doing this same search. She called it the double listing search. Here's why. She would lock it up as a 3-1. Her buyers would buy it, put a second bathroom in it, and give it back to her 4 months later as a thank you and list it again for them. That's why she called it the double listing search. Take this search and run with it. So that's a scenario, using 3 bedrooms and that 1 bathroom as the situation to want to list or take a cash offer. Here's another one for you, right? How about a person with 2 or 3 mortgage payments, right? The person that's right at the cusp of going into pre-foreclosure. Why wait for them to show up in pre-foreclosure? As a matter of fact, let me show you. If I chose pre-foreclosure, there's none of them in pre-foreclosure right now. How about an auction? None of them. So right now, either the county is not recording pre-foreclosures because they're, COVID pandemic-ish going on, or these guys are still barely able to make those 2 to 3 mortgage payments. And again, these are people that you're not gonna see on a list. So I want you guys to practice this when you get off tonight, and that's just sit back and just think of situations that people go through. Maybe it's a 1950-year-old building in an HOA environment. Maybe it's a senior owner in a 2-story building, right? Like, think about them walking up and down all the time, right? These are situations that are constantly overlooked. I want to expose you guys to that today with that, okay? So in this search that we just performed, that was the 2-3 mortgage, or it could have been the 3-1 bathroom, whatever it is. Your results here on the right side, check them off, and now you can hit add to list, and we'll call that the Dallas 2-3 mortgage search, and hit save. Okay, so again, what we've done are the first 3 components of building a list: searched, filtered either traditionally, which you're probably already doing, so keep that up, but include the 4 golden rules I just showed you. Think of situations that are not on a list. Save your list. You'll get 10,000 records, 50 if you're in the trial, but 10,000 if you actually go through with the subscription. And it's $97 a month, right? Do the math. 97, 10,000 leads. That's like half a penny. But then you can export your results. So to do that, you're gonna say, okay, save search, close. Here on the left-hand side is your toolbar. You're done searching. So go to My Properties, it's your filing cabinet. And under marketing list is where you're going to find, there you go, your Dallas 2-3 mortgage search, the 3,400 properties. From there, you can check them all off. And the 2 important buttons are these 2 right here. The export button, hit that, you now have an Excel sheet. You can take our data anywhere you'd like to go. But as I warned you in the very beginning, you're only going to get what you're seeing here: the address, the homeowner's name, mailing address, if it's non-owner occupied, that's going to be important, and the property characteristics. That's all. Don't believe me? Here's the Excel sheet, right? Like, that's all you're getting with the part 1. So if you're exporting in the My Properties page, address, owner information, property characteristics, that is it. But you can have that data go anywhere. For an additional cost, you can skip trace with us. What skip tracing does is this. After you skip trace, go to your contacts page, look at your skip tracing results. Oh, you know what? I'm in my demo account. Let me actually show you guys my actual account, so you guys can actually see all of the skip tracing that you can do. So you can build a list, save it, and export it, and just get the addresses and owners' names. That's cool. Or for an additional cost, again, 12 cents, if it gets results, you can skip trace it within us. So top 5 providers we're working with. Oh, come on, you would start lagging now. Give me a second, guys. There we go. Okay, so skip tracing. You go to contacts when you're done, and your list will look like this. You actually will get the phone numbers and emails within PropStream, and then you can check them off and export that, and then put it in your dialer or whatever it is that you're going to upload it to, right? And that's all part 2. So Yeah, again, you could stop anywhere. You could have said just addresses. I don't need your phone numbers. Or, hey, you know what? Those phone numbers are tempting, right? Because it's by the time I drive to 5 addresses, I would have just spent the same amount in gas skip tracing. So yeah, let's just skip trace and call people from the comfort of our home. Or I'm too nervous to call, or I have the kids running around, it's too loud, I can't call anybody. We have marketing in PropStream, and that's called our campaign section. In our campaign section, you can take any list that you built in Skip Trace and start a new campaign. You can call it whatever you want, right? Auctions campaign, buyers campaign, senior owner campaign, the 2-3 mortgage campaign. Then choose a list, any list. And when you start that campaign, it's here on the left-hand side, separated from all the other campaigns, because we don't want to merge them together. It makes no sense to do that. So like with this campaign, the auctions campaign has 75 recipients in it. We get a website. I mentioned this earlier. One of the biggest components with our marketing is a landing page. That's at no additional cost, part of your subscription. But that landing page can be customized. So in my landing page, it says, hey, I buy houses, we close in 30 days. There's a reason I'm saying 30 days. It's because they're in an auction situation. Now, in the website, I can customize the text, the font. There's an application. That's the most important part, is if they fill this out, I get an email. So very, very powerful feature. And again, every campaign you create has a landing page. So like my Riverside buyers campaign, the website says contract for buyers, and it's a whole different message. It says, hey, buyers, how would you like to make 200K? I have a contract for 400, rehab 39, ARV 650. Let's talk, right? Fill this out. So whether it's a campaign for auctions, a campaign for buyers, your website is there for you to customize. And then after you customize that website to your desire, these are the 3 components of marketing that you can utilize. You can send postcards, tiered price. You can use our templates. That's the predefined templates here. Or you can upload your own template. So upload your own image that you're already using and then just send them out. We'll actually mail them out for you. Actually submit them, mail them to their tax address, not the subject address, the tax address. Ringless voicemails, which we had to disable because there's a lot of FTC regulations going on right now that could essentially cause some penalties. So disabled it until we get further notifications. And then email marketing. For 2 cents, if successfully delivered, we can email them directly within PropStream. And they can reply back to your email, which is awesome. So most emails are do not reply. Our email system, they can actually reply back to you. Whatever email you have in here, that's where you're going to be corresponding them with, right? So if you prefer to have your support team speak to them, put the support team's email in here. And when they reply back, the support team will see the reply, and then they can chat back and forth with the support team. If I want to get the reply, I put my email in here, and then I get the replies, and then I talk to the homeowners directly. So this is our email area here. But that which I just went over, mainly focusing on the generation part, is just one of your fundamental problems, which is, okay, I need to get leads. Okay, so I hope that you guys took a lot from that, especially the 4 golden rules. Now let's talk about briefly what happens when they call you back. Like what actually happens if someone actually picks up the phone call and they want to sell the house. We have you covered. What you can do within PropStream is, instead of searching a market, search the address. Or you can go into My Properties, find the list that they're on, whatever it may be, and click on the property, right? So search the address in the search page, or go to your My Properties and find them. Now, another method of searching a property is by zooming in and just clicking on the parcel. So you can zoom in, you know exactly where it's at, just click on the parcel and get to details. But the ultimate, I think what everybody's probably going to end up doing is probably just using the search bar, right? Because I doubt you know exactly where the property is. So, hey, Mr. Homeowner, oh, thanks for calling me. Hang on a second. What's your address? Type in the address and then click on the recommendation. And then from there, instead of giving you all of the city's result, we're just on the right-hand side going to give you the specific property. Now, what are the most important things that investors need to know when dealing with a homeowner? property data, financial data, the situational data like liens, vacant, bankruptcy, et cetera, and then running comps on the property. Those are the 4 things we know you guys need. And you can find all of that by clicking on the details button right here. This is our property details page. So dead center is our many different tabs. Property details. Oh, it's a trust that owns this property. Property characteristics, building size, land and location information. Like I know the school district they're in now. I can bring that up. Maybe the parents went to that school. Hey, great, we made best friends. Just because I know your school and I said, hey, how did you play sports perhaps? Just knowing this changes my question. Because in the past, when you didn't know the school district, you never even thought about asking it. Now you can ask it to build a relationship question, right? Same with like the property characteristics, like just like knowing the year built of the property and all that good stuff, like right here. In the past, you didn't know that. In the past, it was, hey, how old is your property, Mr. Homeowner? Today, hey, my records show me that my records indicate your property's 40 years old almost. When's the last time you did the roof, Mr. Homeowner? See how the questions are entirely different now? That's because the data is there. So property data, which is the first tab. Financial data, which can be found over here in the mortgage and transaction history. So this shows you whether there's a credit line, an actual mortgage on the property, reverse mortgage on the property, and all the historical data, like if it's been transferred, how many other owners have owned the property. The situational data, like this property has a lien on it, right? It looks like they use solar panels. They're renting the equipment out. That's why they have a solar lien on the property. So if I have to buy the property, I have to consider buying out the rental equipment too, the solar equipment. See how important that is? That's situational data. Situational data is also the tax information on that property. And in this property's rent a case, they own 2 other properties as well. Maybe just owning 2 properties could be the reason they want to let go of one other property. So property details, check. Financial details, check. Situational data, check, right? This could have been a pre-foreclosure. That could have been an MLS, could have been a cash tab. It could have been like this property I found in Miami. I should still be here. Boom. Look at this property's details. Pre-foreclosure, liens, bankruptcy. This is nothing, this has never been done in our industry, right? All these different data providers never communicated with each other. That's what we're doing for you. And so when it comes to the second part, which is, okay, wow, someone just called me back. What do? You search the address. Then you look at our data to find those opportunities. Like I showed you earlier, maybe the opportunity is 40-year-old building. Maybe the opportunity is the, let's go back to that property, the taxes. It's California. I mean, the taxes are increasing every year for a fact, right? Maybe it's owning 2 properties. That's why they want to sell. Maybe they're tired of that mortgage company. They hate Bank of America now. You don't know what it is, and it's not always a list, but that's finding opportunities. And everything that's in here is scattered up here. This is what we call our dashboard. So rather than having to go through all of this really quick, it's all up here, right? The property details, how many years they've owned it, the estimated value, how many comps you can play with in this neighborhood, the open mortgage data, if there's a lien, what their lien balance is. You can even click on the picture and get to ground level if you wanted to. We do use Google Maps, so you can even view it. And I think this is powerful, man. Talk about the neighbors. Hey, your neighbor is pink. What's up with that? You know, oh yeah, that guy's crazy. That's why we want to move out. Ah, okay, makes sense, right? So all of this to your arsenal, and hopefully you get to that point where you're ready to make an offer. And that's right here is the final stop in analyzing a property, is using our comparables and nearby listings section. So here, let's just focus on the first 4. These are your comps. Everything else are just the other nearby listings, like how many pre-foreclosures around this house. So we don't need that unless we're looking for another lead. We're looking to value this property. I don't have the MLS. Great. I can use PropStream. I can use PropStream's public records that they have access to, or PropStream's MLS relationship that they have. Yes, we have MLS data. That's the MLS history data. So all these blue records are properties that sold through an agent. Heck, we even have the photos to show you if it's a rehab property or not, right? So MLS photos, the price point, the days on market because it came, the beds and bathrooms and property square footage, etc. All of those can be filtered here on the left-hand side. So when you're running comps, do I just use public records, MLS records, perhaps both of them combined? Do I go back a year, go back 6 months, whatever it is that you need? Obviously, you want to make sure there's similar properties. So maybe 3 and 2.5, just like our subject property, year built, square footage. You can even look for active statuses and failed listings. I recommend you stick with sold though. As for public records, you can look at a cash transaction, something that was transferred between a family member, a foreclosure. If you're looking for a nice property, look for finance. Finance means the bank approved a 30-year loan, and they don't do that easily nowadays. You can see if someone bought more than one property or remove those records. So include or exclude multi-parcel sales. You can go out a half a mile, so you can go up to a mile if you'd like. Or if it's a very dense neighborhood, maybe a quarter mile is the best bet. And apples to apples, right? I need a residential property or a commercial property, and I need a single family property. Now, quarter mile is not good enough because one comp is just not going to do it for us. So let's stick to a half a mile. Okay, boom, half a mile gives us a lot more. And now I can ask the question, why? Why did this property 21971 coast to sell for $860? Was that an as-is price or was that a rehab price? Click on the picture. Oh, no, that was a rehab price. Looks like it's cleaned up and staged a little bit, right? So that 860 is an ARV, after repaired value. So the running comps is not about finding a perfect number. I don't know how many times I have to explain this to a lot of people. It's really about justifying your offer, right? You're never going to buy it at full price, but you have full prices here. So now you can use that and say, hey, you know, there's a property that sold for $835 and it's in mint condition, right? New, floors done, window. Your house is nowhere near that. It's about 70% complete. That's why I'd like to offer you 70% of market value. But don't just use one comp. It's best that you use more than one. That way they cannot argue when you have 4 or 5 in front of them that are very similar and all of them are fully renovated. See, so comping is not about finding a perfect number. It's about justifying the offer you're about to make, but you got to show them what full price is to let them know where they stand in terms of condition. Finally, actions, view comps report. By generating the view comps report, we're going to let you take our data and hand it to the homeowner if you'd like, or your buyer if you're wholesaling it. So the comps report is going to take the subject property and all of the comps that you selected and put it on this piece of paper. So there's the family's information, the property's information, the listing history, my search criteria history, so they know I'm not pulling a fast one on them. We're going to show them the low, the high, and the average, where the subject property is and those comps, the sources we use to drive these comps, and finally, a little summary of every one of these comps. And on the last page, here's a kicker. We'll even include the photos of those comps as well. So that way they can't argue with you, right? Because we know they're always going to ask for full price. So now I could say, yeah, you know what? I think your house is worth that price, but let me show you what it actually looks like, right? So you never want to argue with them. You want to, agree with them, but then show them why you can't give them that price. So yeah, your house definitely could be sold for $900,000, but let me show you what $900,000 looks like. And unfortunately, unless you can get it there, I'll buy it. But if you're not going to be able to do that, well, that's why I'm offering you $750, right? Or $800 or whatever that may be. And so guys, that right there concludes our demonstration of PropStream. As I mentioned, our main goal was to service you guys and solve those 2 fundamental components, which is we need to generate leads, right? I just need addresses or phone numbers or market to them as well. And then analyze that property like I just did with this property in Orange County. Just click on it, know the property details so we can talk about that and know the condition or some levels of motivation perhaps. The financial stuff, so I know whether I need to offer this much or that much because there's a mortgage. The situational data, is there a lien I need to worry about? Is it in bankruptcy? Is it in pre-foreclosure? So we have to move fast. And then to run comps, to be able to show the homeowner why we're not giving them full price, right? Using actual data. That's what we can do for you guys. So I do hope you guys try out the trial period and implement everything I showed you today. Take those filters, especially those secret ones I showed you guys, and run with it. Again, there's a lot of homeowners out there that need your help that people aren't even finding because they're waiting for some sort of list. Take advantage of those 4 golden rules. But that's all I have to show you guys. So Sean, I'm going to give that back to you, man.
All right, Burton, thank you so much. Give me 1 sec. Let me figure out how to spotlight myself with you. And in the meantime, for anyone in the audience who has more questions, please ask them. We're going to go through them one by one. And before we do that, Burton, can you quickly go over the mobile app features? Because we actually used it when we were driving for dollars. It was super helpful having that, like the map.
Oh, I did.
Right?
Yeah. Love that you asked. Let me bring that up. I actually can display it on the screen right now for you guys. So here we go. So complimentary to your subscription, at no additional cost, you guys do get our mobile app. So what you're seeing right now is actually my iPhone. For those that are wondering how I do this, I use this app called Reflector 4. It's awesome. But anyhow, so PropStream mobile application comes with your subscription. Heck, you could even use it in the trial period, okay? Same username and password to log in. But when you log in, the reason we created the mobile app was this. Let me give you a background first, okay? When we released our mobile app, there was already mobile apps out there, but they were geared for driving for dollars, which that's what we wanted to introduce our system to as well. So it has that. But one other component it did not have was what if you actually were in front of the homeowner, right? Like the apps out there were sit in your car, take a picture and go, right? Or get a phone number and go. But they never considered the fact that what if you had to actually talk to the homeowner? That's where our app comes into play. So right off the bat, when you log in, you can search an address, an accessor's parcel number, or geolocate. Maybe you don't even know where you're at, but you're standing inside of the house. In that case, you can zoom out and just click on a parcel and immediately get all the same data that we were just going over a few moments ago. Like it's literally in the same format, right? So the address at the top, characteristics. If it has MLS photos, you'll be able to swipe through the photos or tap on it and go through all of that. Now imagine you're a homeowner and I walk into your house. I'm asking you questions and you're like, dude, how the hell do you know all of this? And you see me with this, you're going to probably be like, dude, this guy is different than all the other people that walk in with just paperwork, right? Like this, we designed it so it helps build credibility at the end of the day, right? But the data on the go. So now instead of not knowing and and having your cheat sheet, this is your cheat sheet. After the photos down below are the same icons. You can look at the property details. You can see the tax information, the transit, everything we were just going over a few moments ago. And you can even run comps. This is our comp section here on the mobile app. Public data, MLS data. So imagine homeowners like, okay, well, what is it that you're offering? Well, let me run a quick filter in your neighborhood, right? Let me go back 6 months, add some bedrooms and bathrooms, hit apply, and my comps are down below. And imagine, homeowner wants full price. If I'm face to face, I'm going to show them the comps. Mr. Homeowner, I can't give you full price. That house that you keep bringing up, this is what it sold like. This is what it looked like when it sold. I know you saw it online somewhere, but did you actually see what it looked like on the inside? So rather than trying to convince someone over the phone that, no, your house isn't worth that much, I'm next to the homeowner, showing them the house that sold down the street that's very similar, but completely different in terms of condition, right? So now we go from an argument to a professional rebuttal, right? Now showing them exactly why we're making the offer that we're offering, because your house is nowhere near this property that sold down the street. So you have the data, the comps, the opportunity, shows you if there's a mortgage, if there's equity, if there's a lien, and then you can skip trace the property or send a postcard. You see, what separated us from them is that they're doing the shotgun approach, which is just, hey, go send out a postcard to everybody. Ours is, you might want to check first. Does it have equity? Does it not have equity? And then you can go from there. Now, for those that are driving for dollars, we have a separate feature for you. It's dead center right down here. Drive is, again, for those actually driving for dollars. So To do that, you're going to either want to record your drive or not record it, so we can actually record and store your drive away for you. But whether you record or don't record, there are two ways to drive. The first one is just drive, the traditional method, which is we're going to start recording you and go out and do what you need to do. As you are in geolocate feature, you're going to be able to go down a neighborhood, tap on a property, go into the details, save that property, go on and go on and go on, go on. Now at the very bottom is this blue bar showing you how long you've been driving, how far you've been traveling, how many properties you clicked on. Once you're done, an hour, 45 minutes, whatever that may be, hit end. And if you didn't save it the first time, record your drive, this is the final time you'll be able to do it. So save your drive and name it whatever you'd like. And finally, if you did save it, in the More section, there's a mobile activity drive log that shows you all of the drives that you've performed, right? So again, great way to show you all the things that you've done and saved. So that way you're not repeating the same routes again and again. So that feature is dead center drive, and that's the just drive feature. Now, because we have a lot of data, we wanted to have fun with that. The unique thing only found in PropStream's mobile app is set filters in drive, right? What this feature does is it allows you to search around a radius around you. So 2 mile, 3 mile radius. How far are you willing to drive? And then after you do that, you can apply filters. I want to drive for a lien. I want to drive for a mortgage. I want to drive for a failed listing, right? So add your own characteristics. Let's add a mortgage here because I love to look for people with a mortgage. But when you hit apply, what we're going to do is show you all the properties that meet your criteria. And look at number 29. Okay, look, this is a reason why this feature is powerful. So 29 looks beautiful on the outside. Like if we were driving for dollars, you and I and everybody else would have just walked right by that house or drove right by that house. But see, the reason it pulled up with set filters in drive is I asked for a lien. So if we look at the details down below, there's a lien on the property. And this lien, yeah, looks like there's a Tesla lien on it. So they either have a power cell on the property or a car. So these are the things that you get to see that could be a hindrance. Look at number 10, another example, perfect on the outside, but there's a lien on the property. This lien, oh, look at that, $16,000 tax lien. They haven't been paying their property taxes. Yet I would have never known that from the outside because when we're driving for dollars, we're looking for something physical. And sometimes the physical part isn't there, but what's behind the doors is why they're motivated. So that feature, again, set filters in drive, and that's located in our drive feature. And this is our mobile app. It's really just those two important things to be able to search a property by address, APN, or geolocate, save them, or use it to do our driving for dollars. And again, you can skip trace and send postcards while on the go. So that's, again, a part of your subscription, no additional cost. I highly recommend you guys take advantage of that as well. Again, builds credibility, separates you from the rest. And you don't have to say, I got to get back to you with an offer tonight because I don't have my data with me. You can actually make offers on the spot now with it. So thank you for letting me share that with the audience, Sean.
Oh yeah, thanks for sharing it because we just tried it and figured things out, but I didn't know about filtering while on the go. Very useful.
Very useful, absolutely. Especially if you're at a coffee shop and you're bored, just 1 mile radius. What's around me, and if you're a face-to-face guy, that's your best friend right there. So
absolutely. I have some more things to say about the mobile app, but just to clarify, someone asked about pricing, and I think someone said $99 a month. Can you remind me if they use this link?
Yeah, with your link, it's $97 a month. So it's a $2 discount. Not much, but that's 4 tacos at Jack in the Box, guys. So definitely take advantage of that. But yeah, you guys know where I eat, right? But anyways, it's $97 a month with Sean's link. So make sure you guys click on that link. That way he gets the benefit from it and you guys get the discount at the end of the day.
Cool. All right, so $2. But yeah, I was gonna say for the mobile app, it's super useful because when you're driving for dollars, especially in a neighborhood that you're not familiar with, it's very easy to get lost and very easy to make the same circle around the block. And you just forget, right? Because you're driving right, you're like, oh, did I pass by here? But the app shows like where you've been, right? So I know make the most efficient method. I'll do a snake here, here, and here versus like traveling in circles and forgetting. And then of course, when you see a house, instead of like trying to find out what's the address and writing it down on a piece of paper, you just heart it, right? And then it goes to your list. And then now you can just export like 100 properties without having to like go back and like type in all the information.
That's correct. Yeah, actually what John's referring to is when you save a property app, it's actually tied to the desktop version. So in your My Properties over here, you have the mobile app area saves. So it's cool. Like as Sean says, you can literally spend an hour driving, get like 50 properties. Don't even have to research it on the go. Just save them. And then when you get back to the office, you can do all your analysis from the office. So I love that you brought that up because that is, yeah, a very powerful option.
Yep. So now let's go into some questions. Again, if any of you guys want to ask questions, just feel free to type them down in the chat box below here. So Hemant asked, how do you pull up commercial apartment buildings? So if I'm correct, there is a method to do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So it depends on the county foremost. The county will label it either residential or commercial, right? So that's the first thing you got to identify. What I would probably recommend is hover over like an apartment complex in your neighborhood and then just click on it and just see what it's labeled under. So like if I click on a property and I click on, like this is a school right here. If I click on the school, right, and I go into details, it'll tell you what the label is. So it's labeled exempt. Okay, so if I want to look for schools, I look at exempt in this neighborhood. So when it comes to commercial or apartment complexes, what you want to do is go into the market, let's say Las Vegas or something like that. And then from there, go into our filter, property characteristics, and you can do two things. You can look for resident, which is what most of them are going to be under. I would say 9 out of 10 counties label them resident. I know we want to call them commercial because they're big buildings, right? But they're usually labeled residential because people live in it. And then from there, you're going to want to find the actual residential. Is it apartment houses, 100 units? Is it apartment houses, 5 units? Is it just apartments, generic? Now, again, every county is different. You might need to check them all off just to see what the county labels. But there's also high-rise apartments included here as well. What is there? Multifamily dwellings, 2+. So this is the first avenue, is got to choose residential and then choose the subclass. The other option, which we included just last year, is unit number range. Hey, look, I just want something that has 10 to 15 units. That's it. So you can search in that method right there. So either or, whatever applies to you, the answer is yes, we have residential, commercial, or residential, multifamily, or apartment buildings. Again, whether it's commercial or residential will be on the county itself, how they're labeling it. So look at all the options pretty much. Check them all off, and then you'll be able to identify how they're labeling it.
Cool. Jennifer asked, will it show any liens on the properties? And we've seen that's yes. It will show what liens are on the property. Mm-hmm. Dimitri is asking, how does the data compare to Cole Realty Resource?
I don't know I don't know who's collecting their data, so I can't answer that question at all. I'd love to, but I can only on our behalf. So that would be opinionated answer, and I don't do that. So
yeah. And then I guess while you're at it, like where do you guys get your data from?
Multi-source. So CoreLogic, a series of different title companies, ATOM Data Solutions, and so forth. So it's a series of like many different title companies and already collected aggregators, and we're just putting them in our system, right? We're buying what they already have and others and just putting them all together. So we're essentially building our own database. We're hoping in the future we'll be able to say we're one of the data collectors nationwide.
Very cool. And John, I see you raise your hand. Go ahead and just ask your question. You can go ahead and unmute yourself. John?
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Yeah. So what if you have created a list of a neighborhood, you know, like the seniors example, and then you also have a crew out driving for dollars, and they pick up that house as they're driving, and create a list of those homes in that neighborhood, and it automatically goes into the desktop version. Would that auto merge into the record, or does it create two records in a duplicate situation? How do you solve for that?
Great question. So the system, when you save a mobile property on the mobile app, it doesn't necessarily get identified into a list, but right here, so as you're looking at your results, I don't know if you can see my screen, but anytime you save a property, either in a list or in a mobile favorite list, here on the far right side is a column that you're going to probably want to pay attention to. It's called marketing lists. And the number here indicates how many lists that property is in. And in this scenario, I have this address is in one list. And so if I click on that one list, it tells me this 5 Via Bandata address, and it actually will tell you what list it's in. So if you give it just a second, it'll say this address is in this list. And it's probably going to say mobile favorites. Now, while that's populating, you'll see down here, okay, there it is. So that list, that one, is because it's in one list called mobile favorites, which is the one you just clicked on. But as I go down, you're going to see the numbers 2s and 3s. Those are the properties that are in more than one list, John. So to note, if you save a property, it counts against your 10,000. If your teammate saves the same property, it doesn't count against your 10,000 because it's already been saved. But our system is literal. We don't know if you guys did that on purpose or by accident, right? So this column is your best friend. Here's what I would do. Anytime you guys save a mobile favorite, or anytime you build a list, John, just go straight to that column and just push the number 2 and delete all of them. If you don't want duplicates, delete the 2s, delete the 3s, delete the 4s. You should only have 1s in that list. 1 means it's only in that list. So right now, this list has a bunch of duplicates. I have a few that are 1s, but these 2s and 3s are in a bunch of a different lists. And so that answers your question. They don't count against your records twice or 3 times, but they will be in that list because we don't know if it was deliberate or by accident. So you need to manually identify them using this column, marketing lists, and then delete them from there. Does that make sense? I hope so.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem, John. Great question.
Yeah, thank you, John.
I see a question here. Jennifer asks is how updated the info is, or how often is the info updated? And I can actually answer that question. I can't give you a concrete answer, but let me explain the answer. So we're just the middleman, right? We get the data that you could get. We just get it aggressively, probably faster than you'll probably get it, and then put it in our system, connect it with all the other data that we have on that property, and then give it to you guys, right? So we're just constantly doing this. We do this every 24 hours. What falls into our hands, that's a different story, right? And that's where this comes into play. Like every one of these bubbles are different companies that update on a different day. Now, the best way to identify that is to do this. Pull up a market, any market. Maybe it's Boise, Idaho one day, right? Now, if you're wondering, okay, when was the last time a category updated? Here's what you want to do. Click on this little arrow right here, and it's going to give you the spreadsheet view. And from there, look at this column called last updated and click on it. And you can organize it from recent to oldest. So I'm lagging a little bit here. But the idea is once you organize it from recent to oldest, you can then click on every category and see when's the last recording for that category. So for like the pre-foreclosures, July 21st was the last recording. For MLS, we have one that's on September 10th, or I'm sorry, yeah, that's this month. That's what, 4 days ago. When we look at the liens, the date's gonna vary, right? So like every provider has a different day. We just get what we get and put it in. So there's no concrete answer. I could only explain to you how the business operates, which is once it's in here, it takes 24 hours to connect to our system, and then it's provided to you. But each category can be updated every day, once a week, vacant data once a month from the Postal Service, high equity data once a month because people only make a mortgage payment once a month. That's my answer there. So I hope that was a good enough explanation to explain that. I'd like to say every day at 2 p.m., but that's just not how this thing works.
Nice. So another question is from Nishith. He was asking, he sees multiple phone numbers for some records after skip tracing. I guess you can talk a little bit about why there are so many different numbers. And
Yeah.
also, when you export them, do you also get all the information as well?
Yes. So when you are skip tracing property, you're paying for a service, which is give me every number and email you can possibly get on this property. And that's what you're getting. But when you look at your results, they're going to be broken down by numbers. So it'll say landline 1, landline 2, landline 3, cell phone 1, cell phone 2, cell phone 3, et cetera, email 1. The first numbers are the best numbers to potentially dial. So if I was in your position, again, I'm saying this with some hesitancy, I would probably, if I'm running on time, just probably call the first 3 numbers, right? Like cell phone 1, 2, and 3, landline 1 and 2, and that's it, right? Because I doubt people have 3 landlines anymore, right? So I would call the first few numbers. The higher the number, the older that record was pulled from. So if it's like landline 15, that's probably a phone number they used like 6 years ago. So you probably don't want to call that. But here, look, this is a reason why I don't like saying that, is because there's always 2 sides to the story. There might be someone out there with 15 phone numbers. I don't know what they're doing with 15 phone numbers. Who knows? They might have 15 different relationships with people, you know? So it's hard for me to say, yeah, I just called the first 4 when the 5th and 6th number could have been them too, right? Like, I'm going to leave you up with that. So we give you all that information because that's what you paid for. When you export, that's all that you get. But in terms of most recent to oldest, the lowest number is the most recent, the highest number is the oldest record.
And Dan is asking, are the reports customizable?
No, the comps report is not customizable, but it is a PDF file and it is yours. So if you want to Photoshop it, maybe put your logo at the bottom, go for it. Honestly, I would say leave it. I would say, if anything, put your logo at the very top on that. There's a blank area we kind of left for you. At the bottom of each of the comps reports says, PropStream copyright. I would honestly leave that. That way you can lean on us when someone says, where did you get your data from? Oh, I got it from PropStream. And if they do a Google search, we've been in the business for 15 years, right? So they're not going to be able to question you because you're going to lean on us for that credibility. So if you want to replace the logo, you can do it. It's a PDF file, it's yours. I just probably would reconsider because you can use us as your scapegoat. Oh, I got these numbers from that company, and then use our credibility to help your credibility and call it a day.
And from your experience, what would you say is a good sized list?
So for like an individual, if you're rocking a 1-man, 1-woman show, I would say anywhere from 5 to 1,500 properties to work with. But again, it's hard to say that because it depends on the market as well. Like if you're in like Riverside County, like I am in Orange County, California, you're going to need more than that because there's so many out here. And the market is weird out here where people don't sell properties at 70% easily, right? Like we could probably get it at 85, 90% and still be a deal for us. But it varies from market to market. So we do give you 10,000 records, but I would say from my experience, someone starting usually can find a deal as long as they're consistent, 15 to about 1,500 leads. As long as, again, they're calling and following up and they're negotiating correctly. So I would say a good size list, again, 500 to 1,500. And when you think about it, that's like what, a lien list of 150 properties, a pre-foreclosure list of like 60 properties, a high equity list of maybe 200 or 300 properties. You'll definitely be past the 500 before you even know it. So 5 to 1,500 is usually a comfortable size for beginners.
I had a question. So do you have any thoughts on normal response rates for direct mail, cold calling, and emails?
No, I don't, because it varies on the demographics and the lists. Like for example, an auctions list, you're not going to send postcards to them because by the time they get the postcard, they're already out for auction, right? So with postcards, I would say owner-occupied properties, senior owners, that would probably do very well for postcards. Cold calling is definitely the principle, the staple. Everybody nowadays, especially in today's society, I would say 9 out of 10 people have a cell phone. And for those that don't, are probably not going to be with us for any more longer, right? That's just the reality of it. So I can't really answer that question because it really depends on what market you're in. Are you in a senior living environment? If that's the case, postcards will probably be better. If you're in a more fast moving environment like New York, no one's getting postcards in that market, right? Phone numbers and emails would probably be your best there. And then again, not only is the demographics one thing, but the category. If it's an auction list, I'm better off just calling them, get to them as fast as I can, solve their problem as fast as I can. If it's an absentee owned property where it could take 6 months to get to somebody, let's send them postcards. So that's my answer there. I don't really have numbers because no one really tells us the numbers once they get a deal. Like if they can, if there's a way that they can report back, which no one ever does, we usually find out when they're posting a check online, then we'll be able to know, but we don't collect that data, unfortunately.
Cool, thanks.
When you submit like the email campaigns to people you skip traced, like where's that email coming from? And doesn't that just hit their spam folder, especially if it's coming off from like PropStream?
Yes and no. So our provider has a CAN spam compliancy filter in there. So yeah, it's going to eventually, it's all, when you're thinking about email campaign, just think of it this way. It's going to go into spam regardless, right? It's always going to aim for the spam, but there are methods to prevent it from going into spam, like increasing the probability. And that's like using certain words, like don't use cash, don't use offer, which we have in our email creation. So as you're creating that email, if you type in cash or a capital word, like we're not going to allow that to go out, right? Because it's going to decrease the probability. Now, if we've been able to identify that it's hit the inbox and not the spam, it's cents. I'm sorry, 2 cents. I don't know why I say 12 cents. 12 cents is skip tracing. It's 2 cents. So don't have return percentages or anything like that, but it's 2 cents if successfully delivered. It is going to eventually hit the spam, but we have tools to prevent it. They're not guaranteed tools, as these guys are always rotating the strategy, always adding new words to look out for in their filters. And it's a constant battle. As they do updates, we have to do the updates, and then they do the updates. And it's just a constant back and forth. So that's the response I can give you.
Cool. Jennifer is asking, I guess, what's next for PropStream? Do you have any new products that are coming up?
I can't mention it. Obviously prevented from saying things, but what I can say is we hired 20 plus developers in this last 2 years. We're working on something very major. Soon there'll probably be an announcement. I'm hoping by the next time I come back around, the next month or two, I'll have something for you guys. But right now, I can just only tell you our team is growing. I was staring at 6 Zoom screens last year, and now I'm staring at 50 boxes at every meeting. So lots of growth on the back end, which means lots of development that I just can't mention. But I could say this, maybe what you're seeing now won't be the same later on. Let's just keep it that way. So enjoy it, learn it, but don't get too used to it, because there could be some major changes down the road.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that. Saram, go ahead and ask your question.
Thanks, guys. Bern, this is the third demo I've seen of you in the last like few weeks, and every time, man, you're just awesome. So thanks again for your time.
Thanks for yours.
Yeah. I guess, going back to the templates, right? Are those, in case, some people always have like some issues with wording or whatever, maybe, are those already kind of are those kind of pre-made in there?
You're referring to the postcard templates?
Yeah, postcard, as well as just like email templates, things like that. Yeah.
So the postcard templates, we have several. The email templates we're kind of lacking right now, but let me just show you both. When it comes to the email template, we only just have one, and it's just like a stock image. So let me show you both. So postcards with the templates, we have tons. And they're broken down into 2 categories. We have the investor only template. So the verbiage here is like, I see potential, or final notice, or we pay cash, or we will buy cash. And then we have the realtor only templates, which are like, do you want to list your property? Are you upside down? Things that realtors would pretty much aim for. So when it comes to postcards, yeah, we have tons. When it comes to our email, not so much. Email marketing, it's about 4 months old. We're still developing some of our templates, but still doing the big development on the back end. So kind of hiccuped us a little bit, like we're kind of delayed. But there's only one template, and it's this one right here, which gives you a subject line. Oh, and this is what I was talking about, Sean, where if you put like cash, it catches it. It says, they don't do that. Things like act now, like don't do that. So you want to kind of keep it simple, like, I would love to talk to you about your home, or something like that. So it flies under the radar. Okay. And then in terms of the template, here's what it looks like. It's pretty much a stock photo, which you can keep or replace it. And you can literally put anything you want in here, a picture of yourself,
awesome.
Perhaps.
Awesome.
So don't have to use our templates,
Yeah.
but you can use your own banner, your own background, your own logo. This right here can also be completely readjusted. You don't have to use this font.
No, it's cool. This is to kind of get you going is great.
So that should get you there. So lacking in the template
Yeah,
field for the
yeah,
email,
absolutely.
but the postcards we got, you know.
Cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Do you have any more?
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Cool. Thank you. Does anyone else have any other questions before we wrap up our presentation today? All right. If not, then definitely thank you all for coming through. I'm going to post the links again down here below. So again, if you guys are looking to find great off-market deals, I highly recommend you guys use the link down here for PropStream. You can do a 7-day free trial. Again, with our link, you get $2 off, but it's a very amazing tool. We use it personally when we create our lists for our off-market deals. When we were driving around town, we're using it in the app. I recommend you have 2 people in the car because it's very unsafe to play on the app because you get really into it and you might hit somebody. So make sure you have 2 people in the car. So use PropStream. And then of course, if you guys get a deal and you guys need a hard money loan, reach out to me. I can help you guys out with that financing. So with that being said, we are going to post this video on our Facebook group, maybe tomorrow, and I might edit it and make it into a YouTube video as well. If you have any questions for me or for Burton, just reach out. My email is here as well. And if not, thank you all so much for coming again. The next meetup that we're going to have is going to be sometime in October. We're going to be busy going to different conferences like FinCon and the Bigger Pockets Conference. If you guys are going, let me know because I would love to meet you guys there in New Orleans. It's going to be a lot of fun. And other than that, oh, awesome. Jennifer, we'll see you there. Just reach out to us. We'll be at the Conventus booth over at Bigger Pockets. Yeah, that being said, I think that's about it. We have meetups, of course. Go to the website. I'll upload if I decide to make another event or if we're just going to have the casual one. But yeah, besides that, thanks again for coming, everybody. Thank you so much, Burton, for coming on and teaching us.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. All right.
Take care, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. Take care. See you.
Bye.